Hi, it's Kevin Topping with Top Tax Services again. I wanted to talk to you a little bit about a couple of things involving stocks and bonds and financial instruments like that. One is gonna can apply to everybody who may be in the market. The other one is specific to Washington folks, or if you're not in Washington, you don't have to worry about this part the second part quite so much. The first thing is because of the market being down, many people had losses in 2022. And so people wonder about, am I able to take deductions for my losses? How does that work exactly? Well, what happens is your net capital gains are made up of your capital gains or profits on your stocks and bonds and such, mutual funds. And then you have capital losses. And those things net against each other. And if you have a capital loss for the year, you are allowed to take $3,000 of that capital loss against your ordinary income we think of it as a deduction. Technically, it's not a deduction, but that's more tax than you care to know about. The important thing is that, let's say you had a $10,000 loss for the year because things didn't go so well in the market for you. And what would you be able to do? You'd be able to take $3,000 of that $10,000 as a deduction against your ordinary income. You might wonder, what happens to that other $7,000 that's left over? Well, it just carries over. And if the next year you had no capital losses, but maybe some capital gains, you would net that again against that $7,000 carryover. Maybe you weren't in the market at all and you still had that $7,000 sitting out there, you'd be able to take another $3,000 against it. So it's always going to net. You're limited to at the most a $3,000 loss in any given year that you can take on that, but it will carry over to future years. So hopefully things will go up and you'll be able to take those losses against gains in the future. The second part is something that's brand new in Washington State in 2022, which is a capital gains tax. Now, for those of you who are watching this, who are from Washington, you might be saying, wait a minute, isn't this in court? Isn't this up for debate? Yes, it is. It is currently being litigated in court. However, in the meantime, that court has given a stay to the State Department of Revenue, which allows them to collect that tax until that decision is made. So what that means is starting, and they'll be ready in a couple weeks in February of 2023 to be able to accept those returns and reports and payments on those capital gains taxes. Again, if for some reason, hopefully, and what many people think is that the capital gains tax will be declared unconstitutional. And when that happens, the State Department of Revenue is going to refund your money along with interest. So that's good. It'd probably be better if they weren't going to take the money to begin with, but they have put in this process and that's going to be allowed. Now, the good news about that, yes, there is some good news here, is that the capital gains tax is not going to apply to very many people, at least on a year-to-year basis, because of the fact that, one, it doesn't, those capital gains, unlike on the federal level, for Washington State, those capital gains do not include any real estate. They don't include any activity that's happening in retirement accounts. So if you were selling a bunch of stock in a retirement account and that created a capital gain, that would not be taxable in this regard, as long as you didn't take the money out of that retirement account. So that $250,000 exemption is pretty meaningful for most folks. So that would mean you would have to have a profit on your capital gains of more than $250,000 before you would have to pay any tax on it. So most people aren't going to run into that in any given year. But especially around here where we have a lot of folks in Washington State that have stock compensation and things like that as part of their work compensation packages, it very well could impact you in certain times. And so just keep in mind that for 2023, they are going to be collecting it, and then that there will be a refund if it is declared unconstitutional. You'll get the money back with interest. But going forward, we'll just have to see what comes out of this court hearing. So a lot of stuff going on with capital gains this year. And if you have any questions, call us or email us at Top Tax Services.